Hi, airline. I would like to buy one business class ticket, please. Okay, that'll be $10,000, cash or card. Oof. Well, I only have $104.35. Okay, well then you're not getting on this flight. Yes, I am. Ha, yeah, and says who? Says me, John of John's Finance Tips, teaching you all the things about money that school never bothered with. Making, saving, investing. Today's money topic specifically though is to figure out if the Capital One Venture is the best Capital One card. And along the way, I'm gonna show you exactly how you can get a business class flight for just about $100 in tax and fees using this card. Now, I do wanna be respectful of everyone's time. So here's the TLDR. If you are looking for a simple 2x catch-all card with an elevated sign-up bonus and really the Goldilocks Capital One card, the Venture is your card. And if you wanna support my channel, you can feel free to check out the elevated offer and affiliate link in the description box down below. The rest of the video though, we're gonna review the card's sign-up bonus, the earnings, the benefits, the annual fee, and of course my final verdict and recommendations. So if that sounds like a plan, pop a squat, tap the thumb icon, and let's get into it. Section 1, sign-up bonus. So right now, the Capital One Venture, I believe actually has a historically high, all-time high sign-up bonus, where you will earn 75,000 miles after you spend $4,000 within the first 3 months. In addition, you will also be given a $250 travel credit that you can use to redeem for travel through the Capital One travel portal. If you add those up at face value, Capital One says it's worth about $1,000 in travel. Personally though, if you just look at that 75,000 miles, sure, if you weren't effective, $750. But later in the video, I'm gonna show you how you can flip that 75,000 miles instead for well over $10,000 worth of travel. So off the rip, this tickles my pickle a bit because so much attention recently has been focused on the Venture X, which is their more premium entry into the travel space. But this card with the elevated sign-up bonus certainly has my attention. Section 2, earnings. This card will earn 5x if you book hotel or car rental through the Capital One travel portal. In addition, you're gonna get 2x on all purchases. No cap, no category restrictions. Overall, personally, I would have liked to see something elevated, like a 3x maybe for transit or maybe for dining. But again, 2x catch-all is solid if you look at it compared to the Venture X, which is their premium card, as well as the Venture X Business. Section 3. Benefits. So this card offers you the ability to transfer your Capital One miles to flight as well as hotel partners. And I want to take a minute to pause here. Even though we call them Capital One miles, they're not like miles you earn from flying. It's just what they call their reward points. So miles and points are interchangeable with Capital One. And here are some of the transfer partners you have. The two that I'm going to talk about specifically are Air Canada as well as British Airways. But one of the ways I actually used my Capital One miles was booking my business class flight from Boston all the way to Manila. We were flying Turkish and it was for just 67,500 miles one way in business and like $400 in tax and fees instead of, I think it would have been like well over $5,000 per person. Fortunately, Turkish has devalued their award chart, so it's not 65,000 anymore from North America to Asia. But regardless, I've gotten some good value historically from my Capital One miles, but let's go ahead and dive into those two examples I mentioned. Let's say one day you woke up and you were craving some beef noodle soup from Taiwan. Well, you could catch a flight from LA to Taipei on EVA Air. Now, if you wanted to pay cash, you'd pay a little bit over $4,800. The reason I'm looking at the $4,800 mark is because of the cancellation fees with Air Canada, and that's the most comparable ticket fare. But if you didn't want to shell out over $4,800, you could instead use your Air Canada miles that you transfer over from Capital One. That would cost you 75,000 miles and 77 Canadian dollars. Okay, I agree. Just flying to Taiwan for beef noodle soup in business class is a little bit ridiculous. What if instead though, you just wanted to experience the business class? Well, why not the world's best business class product by Qatar Airways? Specifically, it's called their Q Suites, where you can quite literally, if you book 2 side-by-side seats, have a double bed in the sky with you and your partner. Well, one way to do that is to take your Capital One miles, transfer them to British Airways, and you can book a one-way from Boston over to Doha for 70,000 British Airways Avios and a little over $100 in taxes and fees. If, however, you didn't want to use your points and miles and you wanted to pay cash, well, this ticket cash costs over $10,000. That is insane. Dropping 10 grand on a flight. Yes, it's the best flight, most luxurious flight, but not something I would ever recommend or really aspire to. And so this is the power of leveraging your points and miles to kind of have these experiences, which otherwise you might not be able to or even want to tap into. And I'm throwing up a list here now of all the Capital One transfer partners. Keep in mind, it's not just international business class flights. You can just move them to JetBlue to book domestic flights. Heck, you could technically move them to Turkish to book domestic United. But anyway, that one's a little bit complicated, whether you see availability. But the point is, there's a lot of ways to use your Capital One miles. It's not just the examples I laid out. The next benefit with this card is there's no foreign transaction fees. So if you travel, you want to swipe it, feel free. The card also gives you a $100 credit to Global Entry / TSA PreCheck. And for those of you who don't know what that is, TSA PreCheck is basically the VIP security lane, which you can keep your shoes on, keep your belt on, keep your laptop in your bag, and just whiz on past through security. And Global Entry is pretty much VIP entry back into the United States. Instead of having to wait an hour plus in busy custom lines, you quite literally, for me at least, I just scan my face, scan your passport, and you zip on through. And I think I've timed it where I've landed in Boston. From the time I step foot off the plane to when I'm waiting for my bags, it's straight walking, maybe like 8 minutes. And so if you have this card, please be sure to go and use the credit and book your Global Entry interviews. And a pro tip for people, if you do end up booking for a Global Entry interview and you can't find one because they're just really difficult to come by, you can do what's called interview on arrival. This is actually what Viv did. Basically, we were traveling, we came back through JFK, and instead of her having to wait months for a Global Entry interview, because she applied and was conditionally approved, she just did her interview on arrival. Literally just sat down with the border control agent, asked her a couple questions, and she was good to go. So look for those opportunities of interview on arrival. The card also offers you a $50 experience credit if you book Lifestyle Collection hotels. And this one's a quirky one, but you know how there's all these Capital One cafes all around the country? I used to think that it was actually free to go in and get drinks if you had a Capital One card, but apparently it's not. It's a discount. So you will get a 50% discount on handcrafted beverages. I think it's a miss here. I really think it should be free if you have a Venture X, but so that you're aware. The card also allows you to book for Capital One entertainment packages that might just be exclusive to cardholders. So one of them was booking packages to the ESPYs Awards. But unfortunately, it looks like they were sold out. Another thing to call out about Capital One Entertainment is if you book any of the experiences here, you actually earn 5x on the booking. And another benefit is automatic Hertz 5-star status. Basically, all that means is you're eligible for upgrades if they are available. And now the last section, the annual fee. This card does come with a $95 a year annual fee, contrasted to its older brother, which is the Venture X, which comes in with a $395 annual fee. However, I know some people will say, and I kind of agree, if you are just coming on to the Venture, meaning you're just thinking about your very first travel card, you likely don't have Global Entry. And so you can, in a way, count that $100 credit in the first year. And so if you pay $95 annual fee, use the Global Entry credit of $100, you get back $5 in your pocket in the first year. Now, the next year though, you're not gonna be able to use the credit again, nor would you need to because it's valid for 4 years. And so it would be $95 out of pocket. Now let's talk about verdict and recommendations. First, we'll talk about a couple pros. One pro, this card is a 2x catch-all. It is dumb simple, dumb stupid. Quite literally, you don't have to think about any categories. If you're going out and you don't know, oh, is this a shopping category or a travel category, and you just have this card, 2x, swipe it, move on. The second pro is, on its surface, it does have a lower annual fee than its older brother, the Venture X, which comes in at $395, which also offers just the 2X as an earnings category. And the last pro to call out is that it does right now, in my opinion at least, have an all-time high sign-up bonus with the 75,000 miles after 4K spend plus the $250 travel credit. So now let's talk about some cons though. The first con, there's no other credits. So it's $95 a year, and if you don't take advantage of the Global Entry credit, there's nothing else offsetting it, so you're paying $95 a year for the card. The next con I would call out for this card is there's no elevated earnings. Listen, I love the 2X catch-all, I don't have to think about it, but I am paying $95 out of pocket. And so it would be nice to get a 3X category or 4X category even. I would say this card is for someone who is just getting into the travel credit card space, who is just starting to learn about travel credit cards and wants to do these business class or first class redemptions or just redemptions in general. At 2X catch-all, it's simple to manage. At a $95 annual fee, it's easy enough to justify. And also given that it's an all-time high sign-up bonus with the 75,000 plus 250, this is also an easy reason to lean into it, because at the end of the day, if we want to play the points and mouse space, we're trying to maximize for the highest sign-up bonuses possible. And the one thing I will call out is sometimes you want to be careful of the travel you're booking through the Capital One travel portal, because it can seem elevated, or it can actually be elevated than what you would find on your own. However, there is a price match policy that Capital One has. So if you were to book a hotel, let's say on the Capital One travel portal, and it was more expensive than what you saw outright, then what you would do is book it, use the credit, and then you'd message into Capital One, and then they would basically price match the difference. So hopefully that makes sense. However, if you're coming to me, hey John, I want another card, I want the most bang for buck, I am willing to put in a little bit more work, then you want to look at the Venture X, because in effect, there's actually a way where you basically come out positive $5 on the Venture X year over year over year, even though on the surface you're paying $395. Now, if you're interested in how to do that, I would recommend you check out this video up here. Now, for everyone else though, if you are interested in this elevated sign-up bonus for the Capital One venture, you can feel free to check out my affiliate link in the description box down below. And as always, comments, questions down there as well, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.